Hi, Wade Galt with Smart Bonus Systems here. Today I want to talk to you about the 3 experts, how you can simplify your staffing, hiring, onboarding, compensation, training, and firing by running your agency with the 3 primary roles. I'm going to start out with a simple story of apples, oranges, and bananas. Let's say you inherited a farm and your farm sells 3 products that makes this income. You have apples, oranges, and bananas. 60% of your income comes from apples, 20% comes from oranges, 20% comes from bananas. If the person who gave you the farm said, look, you're going to need 10 people for sure to staff this farm, how many staff members would you have of each? Well, chances are you'd say, I probably need 6 apple experts, that's 60% of those 10 people. I need 2 orange experts and 2 banana experts. And what you'd be looking at is a very simple concept saying, you know what? I need different experts for different types of sales. I want apple experts selling apples, orange experts selling oranges, and banana experts selling bananas. If I could avoid it, I really would not want to have my apple experts selling oranges, or setting appointments for my orange salesperson, or trying to clean up the messes of my banana salesperson. To make it real simple, I would employ experts. I'd hire and develop experts for every position. I'd force people to decide what type of expert they wish to be, and I'd let go of non-experts. You can do the same thing in your agency by simplifying your model to 3 primary sales: renewal sales, property and casualty gains, and multiline sales. So 3 different sales generate your agency income. And if 60% of your income comes from renewals, and 20% from property and casualty new sales and gains, and 20% from multilines, it would make sense that if you had a staff of 10 people, you'd have 6 renewal sales specialists or experts, 2 growth experts, and 2 multiline experts. If you had an agency size of 5, you just cut the numbers in half. 3 renewal experts, 1 growth expert, and 1 multiline expert. If you were a brand new agency and you only could afford 2 to 3 team members, you might have as many as 1.5 or 2 of the team members be renewal experts, 1 focusing on gains or half of their time doing that, and another person spending half of their time on multiline sales. And as the agency owner, that might be you. As long as people can competently do the roles, you could have hybrids or people who do combination roles, but we'd still want to make sure that they're an expert. And so in this model as well, we'd say we want experts for each type of sale. And we don't want to have a renewal sales specialist selling multiline sales or life and health. We don't want a renewal expert to have to set appointments for a multiline person. If they can find time to do that after they do the core part of their job, well, maybe that's okay. But we don't want it taken away from their job because our retention is so important. We would not want our renewal expert cleaning up the messes of our growth salesperson. And so again, you'd make your staffing simple by employing experts. Hire and develop experts for every position, force people to decide what type of expert they wish to be, and let go of non-experts. When you look at the roles in your insurance agency, the first and most important role is the retention or renewal expert. This is the person who does P&C order taking, the business that walks in the door, and retention or renewal sales. Their job is to service and maintain the book, keep the clients happy and minimize lapses, and keep things on autopilot so the agency is low maintenance and you don't have to be as involved in the day-to-day operations of the P&C. Success for them on the bottom left equals a 12.5% lapse rate or defection rate, which would mean a client stays with you on average 8 years. These people are helping pay the base salaries and the bills. You're only having to manage them 1 day per week. By far the most profitable part of your business, and provides long-term job stability and profit for you as the agency owner. The second type of person, the P&C growth expert, might do a little bit of service work if that's what you needed, but if you truly had a P&C growth expert, they'd be soliciting P&C sales and leads. They would be soliciting this business, educating the client well, and avoiding costly business. Success would equal, at the very most, a 20% lapse rate, which would mean we'd keep a client for at least 5 years. They might do some pivoting to fire products from the auto sale or vice versa, and they would work leads and centers of influence to drum up business. No matter how much business they write, they'd still avoid low quality or price only business, and they'd focus on growing the agency. And then the third type of expert, again, could be a combination person, but if it was truly a pure multiliner, it would look like this. They would generate and do client reviews, multilining existing clients from your in-book business and retain clients through relationship. Success would equal a multiliner having a sales rate equal to 20% of your agency sales. So if you sold 100 auto fire policies in a month and you had one multiliner and they were truly an expert, we would want them doing 20 multiline sales. So some combination of life or health or disability or other products you have that lead up to a total of 20. This person could take care of at least 1,800 households, because out of 1,800 households, if 10 to 20% of the clients actually wanted a client review, that'd be somewhere between 180 to 360 clients per year. Or if you did the math differently, you'd simply say 15 to 30 client reviews per month, which one person could do. We'd want to see a multiliner at least have 20 really solid client reviews per month where the client is filling out the questionnaires, telling us what's important to them. And we'd like to see them doing at least 5 life, 5 health, and 5 bank on a monthly basis and hitting the agency owner's company goals and scorecard. Once you know these 3 roles, this is 90% of the training, development, hiring, staffing, onboarding, and firing you'll ever need to do. Again, you might have combination roles, but we want to be able to identify each to make sure we're getting what we need from each person and we're staffing accordingly. So if your agency has 60% of the income coming from P&C and you had 5 team members, as we discussed, you'd have 3 retention people, 1 growth, 1 multiline. Now some agencies will have even more of their business come from renewals. So one of your people might be a combination of a renewal sales specialist and a growth specialist. If 80% of your income came from P&C renewals, you might have 4 retention people, and that's what would make sense. And the other person might be a combination, or maybe that would be the agency owner doing that work. But again, we would not want to staff separately any more than we'd want to have a banana expert trying to do an apple expert's job. When we look at the team members' roles, again, we'd simply find the retention person, their top 3 responsibilities, where they should be investing their time, and where their income should come from, should be from renewing existing business, keeping clients happy, minimizing lapses, and freeing up the agency owner's time. This position is what helps you be a business owner. This keeps you out of the lower dollar income work and allows you to leverage the agency and make higher dollar amounts. The growth person should be focusing on soliciting quality sales, educating the client well, and avoiding costly business. And the multiliner should be generating and conducting client reviews, multilining existing clients, and hitting the agency owner's sales goals and company bonuses. So with these 3 roles clear, the next thing to do is to create a unique plan for each expert. A great plan is going to help you attract and motivate these types of experts to do the work happily and consistently for at least 3 to 5 years. Anything less than that will cost you anywhere from $10,000 to $50,000 per turnover of a team member, because it takes at least 1 or 2 hires to find a good person. A bad hire might cost you $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, $30,000. It really depends. So overall, we want consistency. We can still have room for people who want to become agents, but we want the 3-year agent aspirant type. We want people who are going to help us grow our business, learn the model, and then if they decide to move on, that's great. We don't want people coming in here for a year or 18 months, turning our business upside down and leaving us off our path. In the next video, we're going to talk about how retention rate or lapse rate impacts your income as an agency owner over time. This is going to reinforce the importance of the renewal sales specialist role, and it's also going to help us see how we set ourselves up to pay base salaries and eventually create strong, powerful compensation plans for these 3 types of experts. Thanks for listening. We'll see you in the next video.